I'm ready to start my vacation. I think we're all ready to start one really large vacation. I mean, haven't we been pretty overwhelmed with just what felt like COVID to economic strife to whatever the latest distraction is? So I'm ready for this to be over with. Now, maybe you are too. And I was going to do a bunch of different videos, calls to actions to everybody. Maybe we'll do that. This might be a long one because I want this to be the last one for a while. We'll take a little break. So, while actually my intention was, and I'll do this, my intention was to do a video with calls to action to website development companies, to post-labor economics, degrowth, political NGOs, co-ops, and social movements, to futurist economic people, transformation people, leadership people. I'm just going to send you guys emails, and I'm going to say just look at the video. We might cover a lot of this stuff here. You're going to get full, raw perspectives here. So if you want to help, visit the QR code, link in the video as well. And so let's. I want to have a fun video, and what's fun to me is explaining to you guys some pretty obvious things. So we'll talk about the gear for a second, but what I just want to acknowledge that if you don't know me, that my discourse with you creates either a sense of a threat or curiosity. Because the threat aspect is I am going to present information that you're going to find overwhelming, and it's going to counter your ego, your individuality, your perspective on life. I'm going to challenge your position, your assumptions, your beliefs. And the reason that I know that you're going to feel threatened by me is because, one, I feel anxious. Two, these are threatening topics. And three, because I felt the same way as my understanding about the economy, the market, as those things sort of unfold. So I get this sense of feeling like a threat. And whenever you feel a threat, there's the threat of the other. There's the threat of, and you can feel this sort of subtly whenever you have a friend group. It's maybe you, a couple of people, close buddies, girlfriends, and there's a shift in the dynamic. Someone new comes into the group. There's a new employee. There's a new coworker. There's a new person at the gym. There's a new neighbor. Like there's a subtle thing that you think that is, you try to place someone else. You try to put them in a box that conforms with your understanding of your reality. So when this guy rolls up and says, hey, look, the economy is going to change. We need to consider new economic models. We need to consider, look at the other videos. Let's do some cool things for good. And let's also, I'll give you these domains over here if you'll help me. These will make money. These will make people happy. We can do things together. That's my pitch. Marketing company. Post-labor, political, NGO, co-op, social movement. Do you want to take these and co-opt them and make money on the side? be a part of a post-labor economic AIs. Everything's going to change. Don't let your ego get in the way. Don't have an ego from doing good. Futurist, economic transformation leader, are you an important person that wears a suit? Were you recently displaced because you were really good at making decks and holding on to your knowledge, and now your knowledge is now available everywhere, and as a result you feel robbed of your prestige and your uniqueness and your ego? Go to the QR code or the link. But I understand that I represent a threat because my ideas are I'm sneaking my ideas into your idea friend zone. You may also be morbidly curious. I mean, crime show podcasts, books, murder mysteries. There's something weird about us. Do you think rats would watch a video of other rats being murdered? Maybe. So I realize that I'm a threat, and this conversation is difficult. I think that's where my anxiety comes from. Just realizing that I am here creating a sense of anxiety in you. My family doesn't like talking about this. I don't like talking about this. This is unsettling. It's like saying, hey, look, there's something coming. To people that are like, no. You're planning for a vacation. You're buying a car. You're getting ready to retire. Things are not supposed to change. Things are supposed to be the same. What about the people that have already lost their job because of displacement? What about the people that have been hungry for decades or impoverished forever? Maybe they're curious. Maybe they'll want to hang out with me. So, what I want to spend, 30 minutes doing is creating the most counterintuitive, compelling case for you to reach out to me, to unburden me of these domains. Just take them. If you can genuinely do better with these domains, and I think if you are going to go towards the right direction with these for good, just take them. That's how important this is. Because I'm not wrong. I haven't been this whole time. It's just hard for me to believe myself. So what I want to do is I want to just point your direction, and I'll link a video to this. To the, they're called infinity gears, right? It's the thing where there's a gear right here. There's a gear right here. I'm sorry, it's kind of dark. There's a gear right here. What happens is this spins pretty fast, but because of mechanical advantage or leverage, the next gear goes kind of slow. And then the gear after that goes even slower. So this is kind of a weird, this will take this many years for this one right here, the final gear, to switch. Where the first gear is going really fast. And we look at this and we say, oh, that's clever. It's a fun, we're looking at something that will, never change over here. So why I mention this, and to me, it's just such an interesting way to look at what it's a good symbol to represent what artificial intelligence represents, is that effectively AI allows us to skip all the way up here to almost to the end, to this gear right here. With so much force, we're able to spin this. If you spin the gear right here, and if this gear right here is going really fast, well, this gear right here will begin to turn in maybe a day or two. But as a result, this gear over here is going light speed. I mean, sort of when you think about it, for this gear to be turned at normal speed, how fast does this first gear turn? That's the way that you want to look at AI, because every time we've had an advancement in history, we jumped a gear. At first we were digging in the dirt with our hands to plant food. And then all of a sudden we get a cow or a donkey, and then we get a machine, and then we get, whatever. We get information technology, we get nuclear power, and all of a sudden we get AI up here. And now we are spinning the gears of information and progress and knowledge. How does that not affect everything? Let me just challenge your thought process for a second. How does that not affect everything? And even if you don't agree with anything I'm saying, you just pretend what this means. Don't. I'm sure you're watching other videos. People are telling you things. I watched a video earlier of a guy saying, help me out. And I went to his website. There's no way to figure out how to contact this guy. Right there. It'll be in the chat too. You can do your part. Okay, so the gears are changing. Because I'm going to send this to some website developer people. Your companies are going to change. I offer you an option to have a marketing domain for as long as domains are even a thing. I mean, the way MCPs are going, we're just going to be AI first or API first in the end of the day. So why do I see things different? Why do I see things differently? Why do I mention this? I mention this because it's on my mind and I think about it. And it's an interesting way to think about what this all really represents and means. And if I can do this as a simile, it might help you see where I'm coming from. Why do I see things differently? Because I see the threat that exists, and so I see the threat that exists for what it is, and that threat is the system. I mean, the threat's every thing that we've been fighting and resisting this entire time. It's our differences. It's our inability to collaborate. I don't even want to get nefarious, conspiratorial. Just imagine that if there are secret rooms with important people, they're probably not talking about you and me in a way that will benefit you and me. Because those people have been going in those rooms for hundreds of years, for thousands of years. And society is better because we've clawed our way up. And as you see the way, the sort of the uneasy sense of where technology's taken us, right? Where our brains are plugged into phones. We see the most lustful, prideful, self-righteous things, but we don't see, we don't see starving people. How many people are hungry in your neighborhood right now? Do you know? You don't. What's the latest score on your sports team? I don't know. So we're blind to suffering, just like we're blind to the beauty of what's created around us. In the end of the day, we're behaviorally trained by the system to support the system. It's hard for us to think outside of the box because thinking outside of the box is threatening. And you can get curious, and that's called art. But it's hard to think outside of the box. It's hard to think outside of your system. It'd be like me telling you, imagine, say you were born in New York, lived in New York your whole life, 40 years. So and I want you to imagine that you're from South Africa. How do you see the world? You can't do that. You'd have to move there. You'd have to get a sense of the culture. You'd listen to the music, taste the food, see this, see the sights, listen to the streets, see the animals, see the sunset. Like you'd have to immerse yourself in that experience to really get it. I mean, that's why we like going on vacation. We get to be somewhere else. We get to do something else. We get to experience something else. We get to see the same planet in a different way. I mean, you'll see trees that you've seen before. You'll see trees you've never seen before, and it just looks so different. And you'll notice that. words and language. So this is why I see the world different. Is by training. My goal, when building websites in the past was as a user experience designer is like to personify user personas, right? To empathize. My goal is to empathize with your users on your devices. So I've had empathy training this whole time. I've seen and designed systems for various demographics, and I'm always surprised by how different people are. Like I assume people know this thing, and so I realize I'm wrong. I've had wrong A/B tests. I've built terrible experiences, but my background is trying to empathize. Words and language are symbols and meaning. I see the world differently because I see words and language as what they are. They are their meaning. And what happened, what was interesting was, and I don't know, maybe you feel this too, but you ever just like ask a GPT to give you some knowledge and you read it and you're like, yeah, this is good, but man, you're unimpressed with what was impressive writing a year ago, 2 years ago. It's better than anything you've ever written, but you're unimpressed by it. You're blinding yourself to it because it's meaningless. Because you're realizing that the things that you're writing is meaningless. It's not that the words are meaningless, it's that the things that you're doing are sort of meaningless now. And that's symbolic. And what happened sort of to me is I went from this big, world of look at all these things that we can create, all this meaning, all these paragraphs, all these novels, to like, I love just thinking about a word. You ever just thought about a word? Like, go into a single word, like faith or perplexity or delusion, and just like look at the root origin of that word. Look at how did they see that word as a society thousands of years ago? Like, what did the Egyptians think when they made their symbols? Like, what was the meaning? Because we all make meaning of things. What was the symbolism and what was the meaning of a word? And did they feel love the way we feel love? Did they feel generosity the way we feel generosity? Did they have an idea? Did someone 2,000, 3,000 years ago have the concept of rushing to work? Were they late to the pyramids? Did they stop by the local pub on the way home to their tent and grab a beer? There's just, when all of the words are meaningless, it's interesting to find the meaning in one word. Anthropology shows that behaviors are everywhere. It's interesting to, there's a book called Manhood in the Making that examines, rites of passages for young men across tribes and societies that are different than ours. And it's interesting to see how people historically have rites of passages. Like what is our society's rites of passage? Like, how do you know when you become a man? Is it when you graduate high school? When you turn 26 and you leave your parents' insurance? When you have a child? Like, we're so disconnected from things that are genuine, social, cultural norms for thousands of years that are weird. Like, there are some weird tribes out there that did some stuff that is just weird. But if you see that there are behaviors everywhere, once you do that enough, you realize that behavior is trainable. Behaviors and customs and taboos and norms, they're influenceable. So I mention this because we're going to be told, I may go off into obscurity with this, but we're going to be told over the next 2 years that, just like they did in the 1920s or 30s, like go spend money to lift the economy. we're going to be told some pretty obscure things, and most of us are going to fall for it. Most of us are going to just do it. And I'm not trying to be accusatory. I'm not trying to ruin my chances of you nice website development companies out there reaching out to me. You know, you NGOs, I'm not trying to sabotage this. I'm just trying to tell you what you're getting into if you reach out to me. But I know what's going to happen. And I know how blind we are. Okay. My guy Kierkegaard. You ever just read someone, it's going to be backwards. You ever just read a book and just felt like you were talking to someone from the grave? You know, like, this is a good book too. Truth and Art. It's interesting how it's difficult to lie with art. That's why political comics are so important. So, some pretty cool books. I like them. You know, and the good book. I got a couple of versions of it over here. You should get one. But I'm not going to go too deep into existential philosophy. We'll save that for another time. I don't know if I even spelled that right. That's so funny. A long line of cause and pattern. So my thoughts over the next 24 months are sort of distilled down in just the reality of, in a practical sense, I'm not ignorant to power systems that will resist this, because I was a power system that resisted change. I used to make fun of words like positionality. I used to grimace when I heard names like Hegel. You know, like, I get it. You know, you want to go home and take care of your kids. I want to go take care of my kids. You know, like, I want to live in a world that I'm trying to create just as bad as I want to build it. But in a long enough causal pattern, if we know that the government is inept or could do good if it rallies, we know that we love. There's going to be there's just positioning. I mean, the call to action right now is become a millionaire. You can become a millionaire. We're all going to, you know, but just like everyone else is saying, and I have hope. I have hope here. Is that, you know, was it Musk came out and said money's useless or going to be useless? Well, yeah, I know. Look at what we're going to build. Look what you could build. So, you know, if you sort of follow the cause and effect patterns between what happens when every single human has access to infinite knowledge, it is. That's why it's sort of hard for you to grasp what that means, because you're not weird like me. I mean, maybe you play in your GPTs, and hopefully if you look at the videos I've made, I try to bring this down to a layperson's way of understanding, but the cause and effect of everything is that the change is so massive that the change is massive. We're either going to be told the truth or lied to, or we're not going to be told anything at all, and we're going to be told that market forces are just going to create this for us. We'll see. What is finally revealed are the lies. And I'm losing gas on this, so I'm going to wrap it up. What happens when you go through a long enough conversation with a long enough if-else conversation with infinite knowledge systems, what you're left with is that knowledge is power. And I guess it's always been that way. But how do you keep, 8 billion people subdued when the present knowledge is power system is control mechanisms? The only answer now is we're all going to have to be lied to with all of the what can be done or can't be done. Like we're gonna have to be lied to. They're gonna have to say, no, you can't do other services. You can't do other solutions. No, you have to work. No, you have to go to your job. You have to work on your email marketing campaigns. You have to pay your mortgage. You have to pay your debts. You have to pay your contracts. I mean, there is going to be a long list of lies that are going to be revealed because it's like, wait a minute. If AI can do the work for me, why do I have to do it? And if no one's working, and that poor girl earlier said, we're all going to be poor and lose our houses. How do we not adjust policies up and down? I think we need a jubilee. I think we need to write off all the debt. That's just my apolitical response. So what is my goal? What is my objective? So my goal is ultimately the good of humanity. I'm not ignorant to the threat that I pose and that you're curious, maybe morbidly curious. I know that you are, like me, we're trained. We're free thinkers. We're trained. Don't be threatened. But I know that maybe you're just waiting. If you are a developer that just lost your job and you want to develop the last software, let's go. If you're a consultant that just lost your job and you want to consult on the biggest problems in human history, let's go. If you're a millionaire with nothing better to do, let's go. As I said before, someone will be crazy enough to reach out to me. So my goal is to give these to someone, to partner with someone that has a big heart, loves existential philosophy, is okay with me napping 3 hours a day, and we can replace money, replace labor, and feed the world. I'll give you a cool landing page domain. We can change the internet. We can help people that have been told that they have ADHD and they can't succeed unless they take drugs. So I know my goal is to get help, one way or the other. Someone's gonna want to rock and roll with me. So the last thing I'll say is, because I'm gonna take myself a nice little week-long vacation, is be the light. There are a lot of YouTubers right now, Economist, if you get it, you get it. There's a lot of people that get it that are way more optimistic than me. And I think one of the fellow's names was Mo. He wrote a book on happiness. Peter, he's got a great podcast, a great video. There's a lot of really good sources out there for optimism. But if you're watching a video and you're doom scrolling, if the first 29 minutes of this video was doom, maybe it was optimism. But we have to be the light. We have to be positive. I have to be positive. You have to be positive. We have to say to ourselves, man, we just discovered some of the most incredible technologies ever. We can do good. We can end suffering AI. We can end suffering. We can end manipulation with refusal.ai. We could do so much. Do you want to hang out with me? Will you be my friend?